we're going to start with what we call the 7 cello commandments. There are 10 commandments for the humans, there are 7 for our cello studio. And the 7th commandment is basically when you draw 7 lines, you can create a house. So we call it the house. Every house has 4 fundamentals. Fundamentals are 1, 2, 3, 4. On top of them, there's the roof. So that creates the 7 lines. What are those 4 fundamentals that allows us humans to become free at all time? So when we, let's say, when we sit and eat, or when we talk on the phone, what do we do physically? What is mutual for us movement-wise when we do those basics routine movements during the day? So what I find is that there are 4 of them. 1 is breathing. We always breathe, otherwise we would die. So we exhale and inhale air at all time. That's number 1, to be able, while you're playing, to inhale and exhale the air. That's number 1. Really important. If there's any given moment in the repertoire when you play a note on the cello and you're not able to do it freely, something is wrong. Number 2, what we call in my studio bouncing lower back. When we sit, let's say, and watch TV, when we sit and eat, when we talk to our friends, we hardly ever, if at all, sit and put our lower back inside and sit straight like this. This is really uncomfortable. Yet when we play the cello, a lot of us do that. So I want to show you what happens if I still do the breathing, which is one of the 4 fundamentals of the house. I still breathe in and out, but my lower back is pushed inside. Now listen to my sound when I bounce my lower back. You hear the difference between what I call a one-dimensional sound, E or Ah. It's exactly like singers. When singers approach the note by lifting the body up or planting the body down, accepting the note inside the body. T, E. Same with the cello. So now we have 2 fundamentals, breathing and bouncing lower back. That feels much better. 3rd elements of the 7 commandments is body movement. Now let's imagine, and we will go back to it a lot during this presentation, let's imagine that we don't play the cello. Let's imagine that we're having now lunch or dinner or breakfast. And I'm sitting here and a friend of mine sits right on my right side. And the butter is right here. And they ask me, Amit, can you pass the butter? I don't even think about it. I take the butter, I pass it to them. Subconsciously what I do, I tilt my weight towards the right side of my body and I just follow my hand. Yeah? This is a very natural movement. Now, if I hate that person, I do this, like, go to hell. But usually I don't. Usually you like somebody, you do this. So your body follows through the motion. Now, when we play the cello, instead of taking a butter and passing it to your friend, you take the bow and you draw a down bow. What's the difference between the 2? Nothing. The problem is that a lot of us, when we play the cello, we do this motion. We resist instead of follow. So if we follow through towards the end of the bow, we create a very natural movement. And that's what we call body movement. We'll get into it more when we get into the emojis, the actual emojis. But as a fundamental, we have the number 3 fundamental in our house, building the house. We have breathing, we have bouncing lower back, and we have body movement. Now, number 4, and again, I have to say that those 4 fundamentals should be reached on every single note that we play on the cello. I strongly believe that if we play one note and one of the fundamentals is not there, that note will be squeaky, that note will be tight, we will not be able to really express our emotions with it. So, number 4 is elbows dropping down. Now, why do I say that? Because a lot of people, when they play the cello, they do this, what I call the bird. They're flying a bird. And what's interesting is that I started discovering it when I looked at my students while they're listening to me talk. And I realized that there's really 3 postures of the body of my students listening to me talking. One of them is what I do right now, is your palm of your hands on your elbows. Fine, you listen to your teacher talk. You listen to anybody talk. Number 2, they will do this. Put the hand in the 4th position, hanging on the cello. Very common. Number 3, I see some students doing this when I talk to them. It's like, okay, fine. Now, in many years of teaching and exchanging ideas with colleagues, I've never seen a student or a colleague in a quartet or a trio listening to me or to somebody else talking like this or like this. Like, sure, fine, okay, I'll do it, no problem. Or, no, that just doesn't happen. At the same time, I've never seen anybody drink a glass of water, a glass of wine, a glass of juice like this. Lifting up the elbow, collapsing the wrist. I've never seen that. That's not comfortable. Have you ever seen somebody talk on the phone like this? Just doesn't happen. So why do we play the cello like this? There are so many cellists, students, professionals that express their emotions with what I think are wrong motion. One of that wrong motions is to lift your elbow up. You express a musical idea, for instance, and you create tension in the sound. Where if you understand the nature of your body, you want to drop your elbow down as if you're holding your iPhone, or as if you're holding a glass and drink. So when you play, you don't express your emotion by lifting the elbow. So number 4 is elbow. Now that goes back to the bow as well. This is left hand and right hand. If we play a note and we get to the tip, many people do this because they express kind of an emotion or discomfort sometimes when they shift with lifting the elbow. So those 4 fundamentals, breathing, bouncing lower back, body movements, and elbows, are the fundamentals of our cello house. Now, if we have those 4 fundamentals, we can start dealing with the roof. The roof of the house is sense of pulse, quality of sound, and intonation. That creates a house. If a performer playing the cello can achieve that comfort zone with those 4 fundamentals, building on top of it beautiful sound by bouncing your lower back, dropping your elbows, body movement, and breathing. If you can achieve that warmth, that beauty, that velvety sound, you can start dealing with quality, what kind of quality of sound you want, with what is the sense of pulse in the piece I play, and always number 1 with good intonation. Now, that creates a house, as you can see on the screen. That house can be decorated any way you want, not me. And that's the fun of it, that's the music. That's not about cello playing, that's about delivering what the composer wanted. You can put in a house a kitchen, you can put in a house TV room, whatever you want, that's musical decision. But that house is non-negotiable, I believe.